Most people think procrastination means you're lazy or undisciplined. But what if it's actually a sign you're using the wrong system for the way your brain learns? Today, we're unpacking why just study harder often fails. Almost everyone. And the one shift that helped this guest go from nearly failing out of top tier results to making top tier results. We'll reveal exactly what that shift was at the end. So stay tuned. Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life health transformational coaches and spiritual entrepreneurs stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to empower coaches and spiritual entrepreneurs to amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible. If you're ready to start attracting premium clients without chasing algorithms or hunting people down like a banshee on a mission, head over to coachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. It's the first step to building a business where your clients seek you out rather than you having to hunt them down. Today, we are chatting with Tom Vorselen. Tom is the founder of The Study Coach and helps overwhelmed students and working professionals overcome procrastination, mental overload, and burnout using science-backed learning strategies. After nearly failing out of his bachelor's program, Tom transformed his results not by working harder, but by learning how to learn. Graduating with his master's with an A average today through one-on-one coaching, workshops, and his AI-powered Study Coach platform, he's helped 175 plus clients achieve 90% plus grades while building confidence, structure, and sustainable success. Welcome to the show, Tom. It's really great to have you with us today.
Thank you so much, Jill. And before we dive in, I want to say thank you for everything that you're doing for us as indeed coaches and entrepreneurs. So I know that this isn't easy and you're working really hard, and I'm super honored to be part of that. So before we jump in, everyone listening, do me and Jill a huge favor. Go on to Apple Podcast or whatever platform you're listening and give Jill a 5-star rating and review because that is very much worth it. And yeah, Jill, if you don't mind, I would love to introduce myself really quickly before you're going to ask
Sure.
your very thoughtful question, such that people know why they should indeed listen to me.
Mhm.
Because they might be thinking, oh, it's about studying, and then they kind of like directly refer that back to students. So indeed, my name is Tom Vorselen, and I help students and working professionals, so also adult learners, with indeed science-backed learning methods. And actually, of that 190 plus students that we have been working so far with right now, 60% is above 29. So these are people in their mid 30s or 40s working on promotions, career changes, and they are getting stuck with indeed, well, doing an ACCA exam or any board exam that they have to do to make that promotion. So this is what I'll be sharing with you in today's episode. So if you're interested about how to learn faster in less time, how to manage your time better, so how do you combine study, work, and kids, and how to deal with procrastination, then make sure you stay tuned.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that. So let me ask you the big question. What's the most significant thing in your opinion as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
One of my first coaches, Rob Dial, also known as the Mindset Mentor, has one of the biggest mindset podcasts in the world. He always ends his podcast with the phrase, make it your mission to make the world a bit better. And he shared with me that helping others is one of the best ways to do that because it can be in any shape or form, keeping the door open, advising a friend, or with the work that we are doing, actually showing someone step by step how to go from struggling and failing to succeeding, whether it's business, whether it's fitness, whether it's studies. I am very sure that everyone who's listening has a particular skill or has knowledge that they can share and help others with. So I think if they keep doing that, we will make the world a very, very good place.
That's that's what the U World Order is all about. It's it's valuing people for who they are and what they have to contribute because we're all gifted, right? We all are unique individuals, no matter how many times people will tell you you're just like everybody else. We really are all snowflakes. We are all unique and we come here with a specific purpose, and it's to help others. we're all connected. It's like, your finger doesn't try to do your foot's job. And we shouldn't be about that either. Nor does the finger complain to the foot that the foot's not doing a good finger job. It wasn't designed to do that job. And we are all designed to contribute and we all learn differently. And I think that kind of circles back to what you help people with, which is figuring out how to accomplish the things they want to accomplish in a way that their brain is set up to accept that information. So you want to talk about that a little more about how you work with people individually?
Yeah, because the thing is that even though that we're all special snowflakes and we're a bit different, the way that our brains actually learn, consume information, retain information
Mhm.
isn't much different from each other. So that is very much the same for all of us. However, the biggest problem that we see is that most people use scientifically proven garbage methods to try and retain information. And you might be wondering now, what are these methods? It's, for example, rereading a text over and over. It is still using highlighters to emphasize what is important and what's not. So if you're listening and you're doing these two things, you're probably wasting a bunch of time, but your brain has this beautiful ability to change with neuroplasticity, complex word, doesn't really matter. It means that your brain can change, form new neural pathways if you use the right learning methods. And one of the examples that you can do, implement right away, is just question yourself. So if you want to test it out right now, I would pause the podcast and ask yourself, okay, what did Tom just share with me? What are the two learning methods that are actually garbage? And if you can recall that information, you're learning a lot faster rather than listening to this podcast over and over. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. It's super simple and I found myself just pausing and going, what was that? I
Mhm.
remembered. It's rereading and highlighting.
Exactly.
I love the highlighting thing because when I was in school, and you can't do it online. Well, I think you can still do it online. There's a highlighter feature on Kindle books, but I'm more of a like I like a real book. Um, and so my college books were like all yellow. It's like I don't know what the point is here.
Yeah. Should I share a quick
Yeah.
research example here? It was
Hmm.
interesting. I listened to a speech of a Dutch neuroscientist who
Hmm.
talks a lot about indeed learning and learning how to learn. And he shared an example. He said there were three groups that all got an assignment. The first group had to highlight the text and then make an exam. The second group had to study the highlighted parts of group one and make the exam. And the third group had to just study the text without highlighting or anything and also
Hmm.
take the exam. What they found, there was no significant difference in any of the groups in their retention and their exam results. The point of this story and that research means highlighting is not necessarily going to increase your attention, nor does it make you learn faster. Usually, it's just a sense of false productivity, is what I like to call it, because you're so busy highlighting and figuring out what is important. Instead, turn that information directly into questions. Ask yourself, what's the definition of concept A? Write that down, test yourself after 3 or 4 minutes, and see if you can retain the information. Yields way better results, same amount of time spent, but double the results in terms of learning.
That's a really, really interesting tool. And I'm thinking back to my college days, which was a million years ago now. But we used to bring in recorders and record conversations. And then now you can do the same thing with your phone, but just playing it back, either slowly and pausing and then taking notes, just listen. Just listen while the instructor is talking and and try to like be remembering big points over so you get the context of the whole overall conversation versus trying to take notes, because when you're taking notes while someone else is talking, you're going to miss the thread and there's a big disconnect there. So if you can record it and go back and listen to it again after you've already listened to it once, just paying attention, and then pause it and after every big concept that they go through and ask yourself those questions that you just said, what are the 2 points that that person just tried to make, and make a note of that. And so then you're just studying, you're kind of making an outline in your head about what the conversation was about. And it's better to not, because I just had this thought run through my head that you could just take the transcript and dump it into AI and AI will outline it for you. And you can do that, but I strongly recommend the pen still, because when you write with your hand, there's a different part of your brain that's activated that's not activated when you're just reading something, and especially if you're reading something that you didn't have to put any thought into.
Yeah, yeah, completely agree. So we do leverage AI a lot
Mhm.
in this day and age because it's there.
Yeah.
So what I recommend indeed people also to do instead of that rereading and highlighting is indeed if you have a lot of content. Let's imagine you're in nursing or in medicine and you
Hmm.
have lots of pieces like such big lecture slides. You can indeed put that information into AI. We give our students special prompts that they can just copy paste, and that turns this overwhelming amount of information directly into practice questions for them, which indeed, well, makes the learning way more specific. And we also encourage them to indeed either write it by hand or verbalize it. So speak it out, because when we verbalize, we also have to slow down our thinking, same as
Hmm.
with writing.
Yep.
And that indeed allows us to process the information better, which yields better results instead of just reading it and saying to ourselves, "Oh yeah, 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 I remember this or I recognize this," which gives us a false idea of understanding, which is the trap of recognition, as we like to call it. Yeah.
Yeah. And as we get older, we have more hooks to hang information on. When you're
Hmm.
young, you need to create the frameworks in your mind for places to store information that you're learning, because it's not going to be all connected yet. You're just hanging the stuff up. Um, Something I learned much later in my life. But I have a real practical application for what we're talking about here that happened to me just this morning. As I was telling you, my dad, he's going through chemotherapy. And I wasn't able to go to his last doctor's appointment, and some things have shifted in his change or have changed in his treatment that just became like in our face this morning. And I'll be honest, initially I'm just like, what? This is all wrong. So I took the transcript of what the doctor had, his notes from the meeting that I wasn't able to be in, and put it into Chat GPT and asked, I've been having this ongoing conversation with AI about what what all of these things mean, and
Hmm.
and what are the doctors looking for, and why are these things happening. And it's able to distill it all down into this is where you should panic, and you don't have to have a medical degree to kind of get an idea about where the process is going, and instead of just being like trying to piece things together or needing an actual medical degree to like figure out what's going on. But
Yeah.
it's applying the same process that you're talking about. And then I had to go and verbalize it to my dad. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
so this is what ChatGPT says. Now that we're done, having our big blow up about all of our,
The situation. Yeah.
yeah, about the situation. So it when you can get clarity on something like that, it it gives you a sense of relief, but it also helps you be able to use the information instead of reacting to it. And that even happens when you're studying stuff. You can get hit with information and it can be so overwhelming that you can't do anything with it. You don't know which hook to hang it on. It belongs on 15 hooks as far as you're concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is one of the biggest challenges that we see with our students and indeed adult learners. It's that overwhelming amount and the complexity of some terminology that is being used, which I
Mhm.
can imagine you got that report and they are sharing like words and conclusions that you're like, this all sounds very complicated. And the
Mhm.
students have the same. And the indeed, what you mean with the hooks is what we indeed like to call a rejection if that is not the case. So if you don't have these hooks, your brain likes to literally reject new information from coming
Mhm.
in because it can't, yeah, attach it to something it already knows, which is one of the limitations of the working memory. And then when we explain people that, they're like, ah, so that's why I have to do preparation before a class or before a meeting, such that my brain is not rejecting this and I can start building new neural pathways and new knowledge webs. And it's beautiful when people start to have that aha moment. And that indeed is part of the process to getting significantly better grades in less time. But what you've been doing is amazing. And also you're curious, which is, I think, one of the traits every ambitious learner should have. Like, okay, someone shares this information with me. Okay, what does this mean? What exactly are they telling me? And being that curious in any area of your life, whether it's indeed fitness, business, or well, studies, it will get you into that thinking about, I want to learn more about this. What does this actually mean? Do I understand it? And if not, can I get more information about it? So I think you have very good traits yourself in terms of learning too, and indeed a bunch of knowledge there, which you're probably also applying in a business setting. Yeah,
I do. But let's circle back around to procrastination because I think this is a
sounds good.
great place for that. Um, tell us, tell us your thoughts on procrastination and why does it happen to people?
Hmm. So my take on this is something that I've learned from cognitive behavioral therapy a lot. It's how thoughts influence feelings, feelings
Mhm.
influence actions, actions lead to certain results, and those results lead to certain consequences. So let's pick an example here. We call student Jeremy. Jeremy is has failed an exam, and he now has to study again for his retake. His thoughts around this retake are I didn't pass the first time. Probably I'm not smart enough. I'm afraid of failing again. And usually, only these thoughts alone will make Jeremy feel stressed or anxious or overwhelmed. And when we feel stressed and anxious and overwhelmed, our brain only wants to do one thing: avoid and distract and make us feel good. So, what are we going to do? Play with our kids or our dog is even better. Dancing, on the phone, scrolling. So the thoughts are fear of failure, the feelings are anxiety and stress, the actions are avoidance, aka procrastination, which leads to a result where Jamie might fail the exam again. And that is going to lead into a consequence of him thinking that that is who he is: not smart, not good, not able to learn, and not able to accomplish his academic or professional goals when we're talking about professional exams in this case. So that's how we have explained procrastination to our students and clients. And this really resonates with them because it's very clear how we structure it and they can all relate with that. And I think if someone is listening right now, they might think, yeah, I do the same when I feel stressed or overwhelmed. So this is probably why that is the case.
That's so interesting. And it can start so young. You get kids who are in school and they're constantly reinforced with you're not smart, you're bad at math, you're you're not you're not a good reader, you're not reading up to your grade level, you're all these labels. I, yeah, I thought I was bad at math most of
Mm,
my life, but turns out I moved like every 6 months. So every 6 months I went through a different school system. I had no continuity, especially in the early grades when they lay the foundation for math. I didn't know how math worked. And I
yeah,
think it's kind of like the same thing you're talking about here. People get into trapped in these situations where they think it's them, but it's really that they don't know the rules. They don't know systems to help them excel. Everyone can excel.
yeah, I agree.
Everyone can learn. And you just need tools to help you be able to figure out how to create those hooks in your brain and how to place information on them. And we do sort of learn differently, but it doesn't matter because the same tools work for us that will work for somebody else. We're just going to apply them how they function in our own way of thinking. Like some people think in 2 dimensions. They can't they can't picture something and turn it around in their head. It's just like there's two ways that I know of. And some people will think when given the same set of directions that they say this when the other person says in their mind, oh, it says this. And it's like two different directions. Same directions or same instructions, but different ways of perceiving it. But if you know how you perceive things and you know how the person giving you those directions perceives things, it makes things much easier for you because you could just say,
Exactly.
okay, so they're saying it this way. What I'm interpreting it as this way, so I need to turn it around so that I can see eye to eye with what they're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful example. And sometimes I have to explain things in three different ways to people. And
Mhm.
I'm completely fine with that because I accept, and I think one of the best traits that my parents always say and other people say is you're so patient when you're
Mhm.
explaining things. And if you have to explain it three or four times in different ways, let's do it because eventually my goal is to get you from A to Z. And I don't care how many sessions it takes. I don't care how many workshops or how many examples I have to come up with. If you eventually get there, that is what we decided to work together on. So yeah, it's very important. Yeah.
So I know you work one-on-one with people and um and you do workshops as well.
Hmm.
How does your coaching actually look from a practical standpoint?
Yeah. So maybe to explain why we have different formats and resources is that I don't believe that indeed every single person eventually benefits from the same type of resources.
Right.
So let's imagine we indeed the biggest challenge is procrastination. If I'm only going to give this person a course, like where they watch videos themselves, guess what's going to happen? Right? Research found what 95% of people never finish an online course. So they're going
Mhm.
to procrastinate on that. How do we tackle that? By providing one-on-one accountability and coaching, saying to these students, hey, watch these 5 videos, and there's an action step in those 5 videos, and show me that you've done this, such that we hold them accountable and we indeed actually guide them through the course by also the one-on-one coaching calls and explaining things. So this already is a 1-2 in terms of one-on-one coaching and a classroom like course setting.
Mhm.
The biggest benefit that people get is from joining my workshops. Why? Because nobody ever indeed really teach you and shows you how to use certain methods. So when we talk about the procrastination, we actually show them these thoughts, feelings, actions, principles, and we let them journal on it in that exact moment. So they have to write about it. If I teach a learning method, I'm going to explain it and they're going to work with that learning method for 15 to 20 minutes. If I teach them how to do their time management better, we're going to do that on the call such that we see what they've done. They can ask me questions directly, and this gets them into that uncomfortable feeling of trying something new, but feeling more comfortable about it because the guidance is there. The workshop is live, so they can ask their questions. And when people join these every single week, like the results are indeed uh, insane. Like sometimes people surprise me by, by what they accomplish. Yeah. So we have different assets: one-on-one coaching, course material, workshops, Q&As, chat support. I can go on for this for ages, but I think the most important is that we help people go from stressed, overwhelmed, feeling anxious to more calm, in control, confident about their learning and making their progress in their career or in their academics if they are looking for that.
I love that. I love that. And it is so important to have all of these different aspects to helping people move from one situation that they find themselves in to the result that they really want. Giving them the tools, but also being there for them as they're practicing, trying it. It's like trying to learn tennis from a book.
Yeah. Yeah.
It,
It's like trying to ride a motorbike or a car by just reading the manual. Like it's not going to happen. So
yeah.
yeah. I highly I highly value indeed application-based learning. Also for the medical students, they usually see the biggest retention when they finally do a lab, or the engineering students when they finally draw something. Like then all of everything starts to make sense. But in order to get to that level, you first have to understand the method or the tool, then you have to apply it. And then, hey, it's my job to evaluate and analyze whether you have been applying it correctly, and then make adjustments accordingly where needed. Yep.
And that's a really important point because if you're not having somebody evaluate something that you're just learning how to do, chances are you can just be off a little bit and you keep doing it wrong, just a little bit wrong. And over time, you're going to be off in the weeds and you're going to be like, I know he told me to do this. I don't know why I'm getting this weird result.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're like there to say, that's almost what I said, but not quite. You missed this little tiny word here. And
Yeah.
it's not about, making them feel bad about it. It's like running along behind your kid when they're learning to ride the bicycle. Eventually, you're going to be able to let your hand go and they're going to be riding, but you're there just in case they wobble.
So funny you come up with that example because we always say that we're indeed the support wheels. And after a couple of weeks in our program, we're going to take off the support wheels and we're going to indeed be there if you do make a mistake, and we're going to adjust it. But our goal is to teach people skills. It's not to do things for them, because eventually they are going to benefit from this for life. I had a call with a 42-year-old male who was in our program. His name is Jared. And he said, the knowledge that I've gained and the skills, he's doing his MBA next to a full-time IT job and has two kids. So, like,
Wow.
his life is hectic. He said, I see myself excelling in my career already. He got an A average 4.0 GPA now in his MBA. And he said, everything that I'm learning from you can be applied to so many other areas of my life. And I wish I had learned this in college. And I hear this more often from the people in their 30s, 40s, sometimes even 60s, that
Mhm.
they wish they learned this earlier. And it's like, I'm always surprised that indeed people never teach about this, because these are fundamental life skills, in my opinion. Yeah.
It should be taught in school, in,
Yeah.
in like grade school. It should just be the way education is shared. I have a very poor opinion of most academic school type situations, but it's because rather than teaching people how to learn and developing that sense of curiosity, rather than just getting them to memorize things that
Exactly.
they have no way of creating hooks in their head for, where to apply this information, and they try to cover a lot of different topics all in one day. So kids are just exhausted. They're not
Yep.
they're not actually learning how to learn. They're not learning how to be curious about something. They're not given enough time to explore something. They just have information coming at them that they're not going to absorb. They just want to go outside and play,
Yeah, exactly.
which
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, and
all kids should
eventually,
be
when
playing.
when you become older, and you, for example, you run your own business, right? What do you have to learn? Marketing skills, sales skills, people management, product development. Now, if you then learn, for example, sales, it's very much often scripts and like psychology, empathy, kind of these things. If you
Mhm.
now learn how to apply this faster because you're a better learner, you're going to excel more in your business. And therefore, we've also had a bunch of entrepreneurs lately joining and reaching out to us because they say, hey, I want to indeed develop these skills to excel in my business. And they do after implementing better time management learning methods and dealing with that procrastination. So, yeah, it's applicable for all ages and all stages, to say so. Yeah.
So, how do people find you if they're interested in joining your academy, or you have something very special for our guests or our listeners.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
share about
Because I
that.
think eventually what we've been talking about is like, okay, now you have this information in your mind, but you have to start applying it, right? So you have to do something with it. So, everyone who's listening, I'm going to give them something that we call the study breakthrough bundle. And it's going to consist out of two things. But again, before I mentioned what is actually in it, it's important to emphasize who this is for and who this is not for. So,
Mhm.
if you're indeed an adult learner and a working professional and you're dealing with procrastination, feeling overwhelmed, time pressure, and not knowing how to learn, and you want to learn more efficiently and effectively, be more consistent, then this is going to be for them. Okay,
Mhm.
so all of this, what we've created, is proven science-backed systems to manage that time, focus, and retain information. And the first thing is something that I call the Pacer Study Blueprint. And this is a step-by-step framework that helps people remember more in less time. So they are going to apply a Pacer. It's an acronym, but they will find out when they are downloading the free guide and how they can apply that in anything that they are learning or reading. And the second thing, which is something that is only available for paying clients, so which is inside of our exclusive learning program, but I grabbed it, put it in a bundle. It's called the Anti-Procrastination Masterclass series. And this is a video training plus workbooks and templates to help people indeed then stop procrastination, planning their week, and be more consistent. So, like I said, this is only for paying clients, but the ones who are listening and they are like, "Oh yeah, I'm serious about this." Go to the following website, which is very easy: tomvorselen.com/world, referring back to the podcast. So again, I will repeat: if you want that Pacer Study Blueprint and the Anti-Procrastination Masterclass series, you just go to tomvorselen.com/world, which I set up exclusively for this podcast, and they'll get immediate access.
Thank you so much for putting that together for our listeners. I truly appreciate the thought and care that you're providing for them.
Our goal is to eventually get them from A to Z. So the more that we can give, the better. Outside, what you ask me, where can people find me? YouTube at the Study Coach, Instagram at the Study Coach, LinkedIn Tom Vorselen. But yeah, we share content daily about indeed all of these methods, long form, short form, blog posts. So whatever your preferred way of consuming content is, we probably have it ready for you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today, Tom. This has been an amazing conversation. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Jill.
You can learn more about Tom Vorselen and his Study Coach Academy by visiting tomsteam.nl and be sure to take advantage of the masterclass and blueprint he's so generously provided for us at tomvorselen.com/world. Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you're ready to amplify your voice, monetize your mission, and start attracting premium clients, your next step is simple. Head to coachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. Join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change, you have all the power to change the world. Start today and get visible.